At this point, I want to examine an interesting phenomenon called backmasking. A simple definition is a message hidden in a song that can be discovered only when the normal sequence of music listening is reversed. There are essentially two types of backmasking. The first is music that when played forward is completely unintelligible, but when reversed, a message is revealed. A good example of this type is the song Fire on High by Electric Light Orchestra. The words are complete nonsense, and most listeners can pick up intuitively that the sound has been reversed. When the recording is played backwards, you hear,
"The music is reversible, but time turn back, turn back, turn back, turn back."
This type of gimmick is not of interest to our study, but the second kind of backmasking is. The second type of backmasking occurs when a singer sings a clear message forwards, yet, when the song is reversed, another message is revealed. Now, some people's theory is that when the music is listened to in the regular forward mode, the subconscious mind is able to decipher the backwards message, and mind control results. Let me say first that there isn't a shred of reputable evidence anywhere that would support that hypothesis. And anyway, it wouldn't make a bit of difference if it did. As we have seen, you don't need a backmasked message to pollute someone's mind. The regular frontwards music is more than enough to take care of that job. The real question to ask here, and the one that is more significant, is not, can I hear it when I listen to the music forward, but how did it get there? There are essentially three theoretical explanations. Intentional. That the artist or engineers are intentionally hiding messages in the music. Ignoring the question of motivation, suffice it to say that this explanation is completely unsatisfactory. It is essentially impossible to do what you're about to hear intentionally. Remember that the song forwards contains an intelligible and clearly enunciated message with no background noise. Any message that you try to put in backwards will make some noise forwards, but we have no extraneous noise in any of our examples. As to whether or not they just figured out how to sing something so that it makes sense both ways, you try it sometime. A number of musicians and producers have attested to the impossibility of it. The second possible explanation is that it's just an accident, a quirk of musical fate. Not only are the mathematical probabilities of this absurd, but if it was solely accidental, there would be an even distribution of messages praising God or saying something nonsensical like, "Pigs lay eggs." To the contrary, however, every time there is this type of backmasked message, it is either something against God, or something praising Satan, or something that is satanic in its orientation or philosophy. Which brings us to our third, and really the only tenable explanation. That it's spiritual. In other words, an outside intelligent force with supernatural power is occasionally able to play these musicians like a musical instrument. Not only is this explanation in total accord with spiritual precedents recorded in the Bible, there are precedents in secular history as well. Famed English criminologist Henry T.F. Rhodes, in his book examining the historical spiritual roots of 20th century crime, records the ritual of a satanic mass. The priest goes to the church at 11 in the evening, and so times his mass that it shall end on the stroke of midnight. His server is a woman with whom he should have been intimate. Prayers are said backwards. Likewise, Aleister Crowley, in his magnum opus, Magic, included in its appendix specific instructions to the exempt adepts, his term for initiates to the black arts. Let the exempt adept first train himself to think backwards by external means as set forth here following. Let him learn to write backwards. Let him learn to walk backwards. Let him constantly watch, if convenient, films and listen to phonograph records reversed. One last thing. In an effort to get off the hook, some people have grabbed at the straw of accusing us of doctoring these tapes. At the University of Toronto, for example, a college disc jockey made such an accusation. Please note that upon investigation, he found that our examples were faithful reproductions. What you are about to hear is exactly the way it is. The first example is by the rock group Queen off the Killers album. The song Forwards is one of their biggest hits. Another one bites the dust.
Hey! Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. Ow! Another one bites the dust. Hey, hey! Another one bites the dust. Hey!
Let's listen again to that same segment played backwards. Now you might say, so what? What's so wrong or satanic about start to smoke marijuana? I mean, God made marijuana, didn't he? Well, yes, he did, but he also made hemlock. Just because something grows doesn't mean you're supposed to shove it into your body. The Greek word for sorcery in the Bible is pharmakia, from which we get the English words pharmacy and pharmaceuticals. In other words, drugs. The reason God hates the use of psychotropic drugs, whether it's pot or LSD, cocaine or the most common drug of all, ethanol or alcohol, is because it's equivalent to sorcery, communion with evil spirits. Any drug user can attest to drugs' single most universal appeal, its spiritual or transcendent effect on the human mind. Like all sin, it is pleasurable at first. The spirits seem kind and even angelic, but their end is death. At best, they keep people anesthetized to their need for God. At worst, they lead to possession and death. That's why Satan wants you to start smoking marijuana. Our next example is off Electric Light Orchestra's album El Dorado. Here's the music segment Forwards.
I'll sail away on a voyage of no return to sea. If eternal life is meant to be.
Notice that even forwards there's an element of anti-Christian thought. Eternal life is definitely meant to be. Here's the same segment now played backwards. We'll play it for you 3 times.